Hello everyone, my name is Abdullah Sultan, and in this video I want to discuss about some of the components of the Pro 90D system. So first of all, I will be discussing about a few things which are very important in our speech. Now what those things are is you being able to not to only think of a few things when you speak. So and I'll be speaking about my own personal experience through this system. So when I used to first work on the system, there were a lot of things to focus on. There are a lot of techniques and a lot of skills to focus on. But the mistake that I did, and I don't want you to make the same mistake, is to focus on a bunch of things before you speak. So you know that before you speak, you have to be conscious, you have to be aware of, and you have to put 80% of your focus on how you speak, on your speaking style. Now, if you have six or eight things to think about or to remind yourself before you speak, it's go it is going to be hard for you to think of those things every single time, and it's going to be hard for you to focus on all of those things, and it's going to be hard for you to remember doing all of those things. So, what is the solution? The solution is for you to focus on one or three things. I would say not more than three. Because once you pass three things to focus on, it becomes difficult for you to always speak in that new speaking style. Now, this is something else, which is called a trigger. So when you have a trigger, you want to activate that trigger, and that trigger will cause a cascade, and that cascade will initiate subconsciously all of the other things that you want to implement in your speech. Modeling is a trigger. Now, within modeling, we have different types of triggers. So the main thing is modeling. So, if you model your speaker, you do one or two or three things that you remind yourself of or that you physically do, rather. So, that thing could be something that you do physically or that you think mentally. But you do it, and that will trigger a cascade of actions that you will do subconsciously, and this will be done. That's the beauty of modeling. That's how we're able to focus on a bunch of different skills at the same time without having to individually focus on each and every one of those skills. Okay? So, for example, one of those things could be relax, slow down, take your time. Right? So that's just one set of things you could remind yourself of before you speak, and that would trigger you to speak like your model. Or if there's a specific skill you would like to focus on, it could be relax, extend, and blend. And then once you start to extend and blend your words, you will then start to automatically speak in the rhythm and in the cadence of your model. All right? So those are some of the things that you could tell yourself that would make it easy for you to do a bunch of skills simultaneously without you having to focus on them. Now, if you are a beginner in the system and you just got started with the system, you're in the first month or so, and you want to focus on different skills, but you're not yet ready to move on to the modeling stage because you want to get used to those skills such as extending, blending, inflecting, articulating, breathing, maintaining airflow, linking your words. So you want to get right. So you want to get used to those skills. You want to understand what those skills are before you move on to the modeling stage, which is the main platform of the system. So, and you want to focus on those skills. Well, you don't have to focus on all of those skills at one time. You could spend a week or two on focusing on one of those skills, and then the next 2 weeks or the next week, you then shift your focus to the other skill. So you do one skill or two skills, maximum two skills at a time. You don't want to be doing more than two, three skills at a time because that's very hard to juggle and to focus on while you are speaking. Because you have to keep in mind that there is a level of anxiety that comes from you speaking and using this new style of speaking. There is a level of shyness that also comes. There is a level of you feeling strange. There's a level of you, right, feeling, for some of you, afraid of how it'll sound to the other person, especially if that person is used to you speaking in your old style of speaking, rather that may be your family member or colleagues at work or classmates in school or university or your friends in real life, right? But so there is a lot of baggage that comes when you try to use your new style of speaking. Some of you are stronger and you're more easily able to overcome it, but overall, there's baggage that comes that you have to physiologically and most importantly psychologically overcome, such as the feeling of feeling awkward or shy or feeling like you're speaking too slow. You have to overcome those obstacles. You have to overcome you have to overcome those hurdles. So there is anxiety along with this process, right? Especially if you feel nervous before speaking. It also depends on the pressure of the speaking situation as well, right? So all of these things you have to factor in. And when you are focusing on four or five different things, it's very hard for your mind to do all of these things, but it's much easier for your mind to do one or two things or even three things while you are feeling anxious and nervous. Because once you feel anxious, your ability to intellectually think and to think outside the box, to focus on what you want, decreases significantly, right? That's why, uh, I mean, when you are anxious, your ability to breathe and to maintain airflow reduces a lot as well, especially if you don't have a lot of practice. So if you have a difficulty in breathing, that decreased flow of oxygen will affect how effectively you are able to critically think. And so you cannot focus on all of those things. That's the reason why we say that techniques, if you're only technique driven, it's only gonna take you so far because this is one of the reasons why, right? So focus on one or two things or three things and build it in your speaking style. And then if you need to shift onto something else, you can shift onto something else. But you've at least learned that skill now. Also keep in mind that there are one or two skills that if you focus on will increase your speech, the smoothness of your speech by more than 80%. And for most of you, that is slowing down. But for a lot of you, it's also another skill, right? That's why the coaching is very helpful because it could save you that time, about 10 times more time you would spend in trying to figure out what that skill is than if you were to work directly with a speech coach. They would be able to almost automatically spot what that skill what that skill is that you are deficient in, that if you were to strengthen would substantially increase the fluency and the smoothness of your speech. So for me, that skill was inflecting and extending and blending. So when I was extending and blending more, and then when I started to use more energy in my speech, that really brought out the smoothness in my speech. So it isn't the same for everybody. All right. So I hope you found this video helpful. If you did, I would appreciate it if you were to smash the like button and if you were to subscribe to my YouTube channel, because I plan to release dozens of more videos. About once a week, my schedule, I will be releasing about one video every week or so. So look forward to that. All right. Thank you.